LA Unscripted. Weeknights at 7, only on KTLA, LA's very own.
Good morning, I'm Frank Buckley. The coffin of Queen Elizabeth II now in its final resting place at St. George's Chapel in Windsor. Our Lauren Lister joins us live from London to show us her majestic state funeral.
And good morning, I'm Erin Myers in the News Center. Hurricane Fiona has caused catastrophic damage in Puerto Rico and is now making its way across the Dominican Republic. All of the latest coming up.
Good morning, I'm Trevor Shirley live in Washington. The White House is walking back comments made by President Biden during a 60 Minutes interview in which he said the U.S. would defend Taiwan militarily if it was ever attacked by China. I'll explain why the White House is doing that coming up just ahead.
Good morning, I'm Jessica Holmes. Parents demanding action after a second high school student fatally overdoses on what's believed to have been pills laced with fentanyl. We're live with the details.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Devitt in for Sam. How many times have you packed a lunch, sent it out with your kids, and then you get it back later that day and it's completely untouched? Well, Jenny Mullen is going to tell us how to fix that with her new book, Dictator Lunches. It's coming up in the Entertainment Report. Stay tuned.
And in the weather forecast, we started out with a little bit of a cooler morning, and that's going to continue over the next couple of days. But after that, Thursday, Friday, heading into the weekend, another warm-up happening here in Southern California. Doesn't look like we're going to get the rain. It's coming down pretty good, just a little bit to the north of us, almost into Santa Barbara, but you can see San Ynez, Santa Maria getting some of that rain, and at times moderate to heavy, but it's going to fail before it gets to our local areas. 76 coastal downtown with a high today of 78, 82 in the San Fernando Valley, 82 Orange County Inland, Inland Empire 85, and the high desert 83 degrees. Jessica, back to you.
Mark, thank you. Hurricane Fiona is wreaking havoc in the Caribbean. Fiona has made landfall in the Dominican Republic after knocking out power and flooding Puerto Rico. KTLA's Erin Myers live now in our newsroom with the latest on Fiona. Erin, good morning.
Hurricane Fiona slammed the Dominican Republic early this morning after causing catastrophic damage in Puerto Rico yesterday. President Biden has declared an emergency there, ordering federal assistance to aid in the response efforts. In Puerto Rico, the storm has caused major flooding. The fast-moving waters washed away a temporary bridge, caused landslides, ripped up asphalt from roads, tore off roofs of homes, and knocked out the power grid, leaving more than 1 million people in the dark still today. This massive outage comes 5 years after the island was hit by Hurricane Maria in 2017, which left some people without power for almost a year. As of now, the company that operates power transmission and distribution says it could take several days to fully restore power. The hurricane made landfall Sunday afternoon in Puerto Rico and could bring up to 30 inches of rain in some areas there. Forecasters say flooding has reached historic levels. Many people had to be evacuated or rescued across the island as floodwaters rose. One of KTLA's own is vacationing near San Juan and captured this video from his Airbnb. It shows the intense rainfall and some of the damage left behind. He said that yesterday most people were stocking up on last-minute supplies, but mostly staying inside as Fiona approached.
I'm an LA kid that's never really had rain like this, and all of the flooding, the overnight winds picking up, slamming your house or wherever you're staying here. So it's kind of been stressful.
And new this morning, the governor of Puerto Rico spoke about what the island has been dealing with.
Puerto Rico ha sido azotados. Estamos pasando por un momento duro, pero nuestro pueblo es fuerte y nuestra gente muy generosa.
He said the country is going through a tough moment, but that it is strong and its people generous. He also thanked first responders, the local government, and the federal government for helping. He said that New York has offered help, as have New Jersey and California. And this video from Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic showing strong winds and rain pummeling the area. The Category 1 hurricane brought sustained winds of 90 miles per hour, and forecasters say the country could see up to 12 inches of rains in some locations, with heavy rains potentially leading to dangerous mudslides and flooding. According to CNN, one death has been attributed to Fiona in the French territory of Guadeloupe. Fiona could come close to Turks and Caicos by tomorrow and is forecast to be at major hurricane strength as it nears Bermuda later this week. In the News Center, I'm Erin Myers. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Aaron, thank you for that new video this morning of a ceiling collapse at a sports complex in Taiwan. This happened yesterday when a magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck the region. People were playing badminton. They went running when that earthquake hit. Elsewhere, several buildings were brought down. People were trapped in rubble. A train was derailed by the strong shaking. Officials say at least one person has been killed in the earthquake, 146 others injured. Queen Elizabeth II will soon be laid to rest following a state funeral that was broadcast in dozens of countries.
Today's proceedings are the final services for England's monarch of 70 years. KTLA's Lauren Lister live in London for us this morning. Now evening in London with a look back at the services. Lauren, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jess and Frank. Yeah, the last several hours capping off a 10-day period of mourning. And today we saw huge crowds of people line the streets here in London and about an hour away in Windsor to be able to see firsthand the Queen's final journeys. It started right here at Westminster Abbey with a state funeral earlier today. After a procession from Westminster Hall, where the Queen was lying in state for 4 days prior, pulled in a carriage by sailors, her coffin then carried into the church. Members of the royal family following in procession, including the King and also some of the youngest family members. We saw Prince George and Princess Charlotte, just 7 and 9 years old. The some 2,000 guests gathered inside the church, standing in reverence outside London, coming to a standstill, all to say goodbye to the longest-serving British monarch. Now, among the dignitaries in attendance at the funeral, U.S. President Joe Biden, the First Lady, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The hour-long service, including a sermon from the Archbishop of Canterbury, a reading from the U.K. Prime Minister.
To our high call Commonwealth, with admiration people.
To Windsor, then a committal service, smaller, 800. Her coffin, which was then lowered into the royal vault. Now back out here live in fewer than 2 hours, there'll be a private burial ceremony where the Queen will be laid to rest within St. George's Chapel within the walls of Windsor Castle, a royal residence where the Queen spent a lot of time, we're told. She'll be laid to rest next to her late husband, Prince Philip. As for the King, while he's been proclaimed, he's not expected to be actually coronated until sometime next year. That's the latest live here in London. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Lauren, thank you for that this morning. And we have a photograph or video here. Something rather remarkable, a rainbow spotted in the skies over London yesterday on the final day of the late Queen Elizabeth II's lying in state. This video recorded by Robert Green showing the rainbow arching over Elizabeth Tower at the Palace of Westminster during sunset. Hundreds of thousands of people stood in hours-long lines to see the coffin over a 4-day period at Westminster Hall.
It's the kind of moment that would be written about, you know, hundreds of years ago, that a rainbow appeared. And you might think, oh, that's just legend. No. It happened. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? And really, it seemed as though the weather really held up.
Yes.
You know, considering so many people were waiting outdoors for hours on end. And even today, as Pat said, the Queen's weather was when the sun shines. Yeah.
Yeah, this time of the year, I mean, well, any time of the year, but this time of the year especially, heading into fall, that could have been a whole different scenario. Rain just a little bit to the north of us. It just doesn't seem like it makes it around into most of Southern California. Kind of peters out right here in Santa Barbara. They might get some of that rain. Might come down in through Oxnard a little bit, but it's coming down pretty good in other areas.